Awesome. Hello, everyone. I am Todd Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon. And on behalf of Dave Savage and everyone at Mortgage Coach, I want to welcome you to the Tuesday let's call it a super producer interview. I'm really excited to introduce you all to Sosimo Avila, who is did I say that correct, Sosi?
Yeah, you're totally good.
All right. How would you say it?
No, you said it perfectly.
All right.
You said it better than Dave, actually.
Well, Dave, we won't talk about Dave's mispronunciation of guest names. We could have a whole show just on that. But I did take Spanish in high school, and I live in Arizona, so I like to think that I'm dialed in on that. But I'm super excited to have you here. So here's what I think you want to know about Sosi. We've called this successful home ownership. And what's unique is Sosi's been in the business for 6 years, right?
Yeah, going on my 6th year, yep.
All right, but can we tell the secret of how long you've really been an originator to this group? No one will tell your realtors. It's okay.
No, I've been originating 4th year, I think. Yeah, in the origination sphere.
All right, the 3 full years of origination, and you went from how many loans to obviously a knock it out of the park 2019. Why don't you share those numbers?
Yeah, so last year we were able to help out 40 families for 15.9, I think was the final number. Or last year, meaning 2018. And then in 2019, we closed the year off with about 106 families served at 49.2.
All right, so listen to that, folks. I mean, listen to the increase of a guy who's just completed his 3rd year of origination, granted 6 years in the business, and what's that increase? 250% increase year over year?
It's been pretty great, yeah. I think from last year, I know specifically it's been about 200%.
So that's really huge. And so our goal today is sort of unpack what Sosi does that makes a difference. You run out of 2 offices, so kind of give the geographic area and kind of some other details on your practice.
Yeah, so physical locations, I'm usually either in the Irvine office here right across the street from the Spectrum in Orange County. High Balance is available here, or at the Riverside office, which there's no High Balance there. They're in Riverside County.
So I love that you split it. So why did you choose to split it that way?
It was really centered on 2 things. One, the realtors that I really liked working with and that I had great relationships with and continue to just build each other up, not just from a business perspective, from a personal perspective. They were mostly centered there. Then the other realtors I liked were here too. So being able to focus on both of the clientele with face-to-face conversations and face-to-face consultations, it just spurred me on to actually splitting it. And then one of the big things that a coach of mine was teaching me on, Ryan, he just continued to encourage me, being able to go after units, go after units, go after units. Try to focus on the conforming loan limits. They're better loans, they're easier loans, and it just makes your business overall grow a lot faster. I would agree with it. There's been a really great result with that, but I've also really enjoyed working out here too with the High Balance and the Jumbos and all the others.
All right, when you say Ryan, we're talking Ryan Grant, who's been featured a lot here recently in the Mortgage Coach channel, correct?
Yes, sir. Ryan Grant.
So he's a good guy. So, I love, what you're doing. So there's a few things that stood out. We will be posting below Dave's interview with Sosi. Did a short 20-minute take where he really dug into deep on some of the Mortgage Coach strategies, which we'll be bringing out here today. But one of the things I really took away from that was you said that you meet with 100% of your clients. Talk about that. Is that all in person or some on video?
Yeah, great question. So it will be split just between convenience or location for them. If I'm not able to be out in the Riverside office and they really want to meet sooner than the days I'm out there, we'll do a virtual meeting. So it'll be just like this. Easy as click as a link on a Zoom URL, jump on the screen, go over numbers, share my screen, go over everything, and we're done. Or it can be in person where they actually come into one of our offices, either here in Irvine. I usually tell clients that I can do an Irvine consultation Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturday by appointment only, or I can meet them in Riverside Tuesdays and Thursdays, depending on what's more convenient for them.
So how do you script that to them to make it so it's a non-negotiable? Because oftentimes I find loan officers are scared to say it because they know they're going to get some kind of pushback. So how do you script it, and what do you do if they say, gosh, I'm just too busy to do that, or I don't like video?
Yeah, one of the things that has kind of driven me has been when I first started coming into the industry and learning how to really help clients. One of the phrases that was given was, if you control the experience, you'll control the outcome. And what that, for me, started driving out is if you create the experience, you'll create the outcome. So if you get something that you weren't wanting, if you get a result from a client saying, oh yeah, I'm not going to want to do that after all, realize that it's your fault, right? We're all here fans of extreme ownership. I took extreme ownership of the way I led clients, and I realized, hey, if they're not wanting to meet with me, it's because I did something wrong in the way I created their expectations. So my encouragement to people who are scared of it is make sure that you actually lead them to do it right off the bat. So within the first 15 seconds on a phone call, right? So the lead comes over, we have our first initial introduction, and right off the bat, I'm just letting them know, okay, this first phone call for me is called a discovery call. This is where I want to identify all the details of your scenario. I want to identify what you're trying to accomplish, and really any information pertaining to the different loan structures we'll be able to create for you. And on this first phone call, I want to listen more than I speak. And then from this phone call, I'll create 3 to 4 different options for you on a personalized website, analyzing the total cost of what the loans will be for you, and also create a strategy for you to get your offer accepted. And we'll review that in detail at a second meeting, which should go about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how many questions you have, that we'll either do in person or in a virtual meeting. Does that sound like the process that will help your family best in this next move? 100% of the time I get a yes, right? If I tell that to them right in the beginning, I'm never having somebody in a corner at the very end feeling like, I'm trapped, I just gotta go. Now at the very end of the conversation, when we pretty much collect the whole 1003, it's, okay, here's the next step. When's gonna be the best time to meet, right? Why? Because they've already given me the commitment. So it just changes the way that the conversation goes and also the way that the client follows.
I love that. So think about that. Think about your mindset, right? So when you're talking extreme ownership, you're talking Jocko Willink in his book. Obviously that's been an influence on you.
Yeah, 100%. I love it.
Yeah. So I just think, as you guys are listening, it's all around scripting and setting expectations. I think you're doing a great job. The other thing that you do is you've got a scripted then client experience. So when they come in for that 45-minute to hour meeting, you've kind of already got that laid out for them. So it's not like you're winging it when they come in, you're walking them through a process. And I know that you also use that process, that experience, let's call it, because I know that's what you call it, as a hook to get realtors. So how does that fit into your realtor acquisition, and what does that look like?
It's going to be, again, expectation. So when I speak to our realtor partners who are first starting to understand us, before usually leads even start flowing and before I even try chasing any leads, I really try to show them that the whole reason to work with us is not because we're the guaranteed pre-approval within 30 minutes, right? For me, that's an irresponsibility. For me, just knowing how many factors go into a loan, and especially knowing that some of our clientele here, the majority of them are variable income, just by the very default of how their hour structures are set up, whether they're blue collar workers or they have even bonus and overtime that they're trying to use because our purchase prices are higher here in Orange County. For me, I'm not going to be that guy for you. I'm not going to be the guy that is always going to respond to you within 30 seconds. Everything for me has been built on the fact that I was coached by a real estate agent, did about 368 units a year. His name was Ron Garber. He was #1 in Remax for about 5 years straight. And he showed me right when I came into this industry that if your business is not scalable, you don't have a business. You're just a salesman. And so every conversation that I start off with any of our referral partners, it's a business conversation. I have a process that has been proven to create an automatic plug into your business model that if we follow it, you will grow in production, you will grow in a life-work balance, and you'll be able to know what to expect from the financial arm of the real estate transaction every single time, guaranteed. Here's how it starts: a discovery call. Here's how the handoff is most effective. From the discovery call, we're going to do a consultation. Simultaneously, we're going to try to verify their pre-approval to the degree that we're going to be able to create an offer acceptance plan that's going to help you get the offer accepted at the best place or at the best price possible. And then in addition, you'll also be able to have a client who's educated, motivated, and most of all, very comfortable in making the next steps, right? And then from there, we also talk about our past client management and how we're going to be able to create more leads. I won't go into everything there yet, but to answer your question, the way that it starts with the realtor partners is by them being able to grasp the bigger picture from a business perspective.
Love it. Love it. So real quick, before we jump into your client experience and that presentation, you mentioned that during the discovery call that you're telling them, I'm going to prepare a personalized website. And we know that's the Mortgage Coach TCA with 3 or 4 different scenarios. You're holding that back and holding it hostage, right? Until they come in and meet with you, correct? Or sometimes you sharing that in that initial call?
Really great question. Yeah, so it's going to be depending on the scenario. I would say if it's a qualified client, right, 9 out of 10 times it's being held hostage. If it's a Zillow lead, you really just wanted to see something really quick and they're not fully coming in yet, I'll review some of the figures with them and maybe I'll send them on a text message going, here, click on this. We'll go through this really quickly. But I didn't just say that at the consultation, we're going to review options. I said at the consultation, we're also going to create a strategy, right? And so they still come in. So I try not to give the TCA until the actual meeting. But then if it's a not qualified buyer or not qualified yet, and we're making a credit plan to bring them up to the place they want to be, whether it's going to be a year or two, that's when they'll get the TCA, they'll get different options, and they'll be able to actually have goals. So as they prepare to buy, whether it's going to be 6 months, a year, 2 years, they'll have actually a plumb line of reference. They know rates are going to change. They know prices are probably going to increase. We'll talk through that as well, but at least they'll have a reference there. So they'll get the TCA at that point.
Well, I love that. I mean, so you're actually giving a TCA to 100% of clients, qualified today or not.
Yeah, 100%.
So walk us real quick then through this client consultation. So you've obviously had that initial call, you've twisted their arm, 100% of them are going to either do this via Zoom or in office. What does that look like? And we talked about it ahead of time, and I've seen Sean McDowell, who I coached, who's in your office, use it masterfully at walking a realtor through it. So so explain kind of what that means to the person who's listening, and then kind of start just maybe share your screen and walk through it.
Yeah, I would love to. I think probably most of the community is not wanting to see me anyways. So let's kind of switch on here. So the consultation itself, it's going to be a couple different screens that I'll share, but the presentation, when they come in, if it's in person, there's a couple factors that start being in effect right off the bat, right? Right off the bat, they come in, they're able to see our receptionist. She has a great smile, great personality. She brings them right into the room. Right outside the room, there's a marquee customized with their name on it. When they come sit down, they have a little drink menu that they're able to choose from, and we get the conversation started. Now, that's in person. If it's virtual, they'll get a text reminder with the actual Zoom link. The day of the consultation, we'll be already amping it up. I still haven't been able to create necessarily a personal touch yet on the virtual. I'm still throwing around some ideas of, maybe Uber eating them some coffee or something like that. Still don't know, but I really like to try to master that to another level. So everything I'm showing, I definitely want to let the community know, as you guys already know, especially being younger, right? I don't know everything, right? I don't really feel like I have anything super special. The concept that all of us know is that most things work, but they don't always work in most places, right? And so I just want to show what works for me. I really hope it's applicable for you guys in whatever way and facets you want to change it to your business. I know for me, I got a lot of this from Ryan, and then from there, I had to tweak it just to fit my personality better. And you'll probably see it different again in another year. I probably changed it 4 to 5 times just this last 12 months. So the latest version is they come in, and this is what's on the screen. I tried to choose the happiest picture I had. It was actually from my wedding day. And I come in and I ask them the first question, are you guys ready to buy a home? And
hey, let me interrupt you for 1 sec. Can you slide over our picture? Because the picture of you and I is kind of in the middle of your screen. Can you just either close it out, minimize it, or drag it over to there? Perfect. All right. That's great. All right. Now keep going.
So the first question I ask is, are you guys ready to buy? And 8 out of 10 times, I get a hesitation, right? And this is where you get to see the body language. Even on the virtual meeting, I'll hear a tone difference, or I'll see them physically just kind of give a little cringe, right? Especially when they're with their spouse. So one spouse might be super excited on the phone, and then every time there's another spouse, the truth is coming out. And it's not that they're not ready to buy, but the reality is that they're fearful. Why wouldn't they be? Right? This is a concept that none of us get educated in our high school or college years. Financial literacy is not a topic of focus in most households. And so most people, when they first come in, even though they're emotionally excited with the realtor at the property, when they get to the real numbers in consultation, there's a fear there to unpack, but most of all, there's a fear there to silence and comfort. And so right when we start the conversation, I start off with that. They give me the sign that, yeah, they're fearful. Or let's say it's that 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 that are excited. Now we're going to be able to speak on why we're even sitting here, right? And I start explaining to them. So the reason we're even getting together here is not because I want to waste 45 minutes to an hour of your time. It's because we have a strong conviction to be able to help people not just get mortgage debt. And I usually use this phrase, whether I'm in this office or the other one, it varies a little bit on numbers because of the amount of other lenders there. But I usually tell people that in this office alone, there's about 7 different lenders. And if you knock on any one of their doors, you probably have 50 to 100 loan officers ready to give you debt, right? What our conviction and drive here is we want to be able to help you not just get debt, but leverage it, manage it, and be a successful homeowner. And so from there, we've really created 3 different necessities, or seen 3 different necessities that make a difference between someone being a homeowner and being a successful homeowner. And right off the bat, I'm bringing them into what we're going to do for them before. So before, this is the consultation. We want to analyze your options to help you conclude the best next move so that you're comfortable in whatever step you decide to take. From there, we're going to keep you updated on the market so that you're aware of what's taking place as you're trying to strategize on how to place an offer on the house you fall in love with. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of an offer acceptance strategy? Everyone says no, right? Go ahead, Todd. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
I was just playing the role of your bar. I said, nope, I haven't heard that.
And great answer. It's exactly what they say, right? And we then go into that. Okay, here's what an offer acceptance strategy is. But like we all know, nothing is truly important to us until we see the necessity and why it benefits us. So before I even go into how we're going to leverage them to look better than cash with the speed, risk, and motivation standpoint, I start now explaining contingencies. Okay, well, the first piece of this is understanding, do you know what a contingency is? Yeah, I've heard it. Okay, perfect. What do you believe it is? And generally, 9 out of 10 times I'll hear, well, it means that you're going to sell and buy a house. Okay, that's one contingency. Let's go into some others. And we start talking about how in layman's terms, when you're placing an offer, you're literally telling the seller, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to give you, let's say, $550,000 in about 45 days. And in that 45 days, I'm going to make a promise to you or 3 commitments to you. And I promise I'm going to keep them. If I don't, the money I put down, my earnest money deposit to show I'm serious, this will be yours. And then we talk about the inspection. We talk about the appraisal. What happens if the appraisal comes in lower? The loan contingency, the reputation that we've had, that we've never lost a deal for financial reasons in all the years we've been doing this. And we start bringing home some of these realities of why they were fearful. Because all these horror stories they've heard are really dependent on those. And so when they start seeing that there's actually protective measures, that there's actually data to empower them to feel comfortable in this, they're relieved, right? And so at the very end of explaining what the contingencies are, I'll now go into, and I'm not saying this is scary, I'm saying this so that you can just understand it. Now let's talk about how we strategize those, how we can lower contingencies because of our verified pre-approval process, how we can help you stand out by being able to close faster than other people so that if we're in a offer scenario, or if you're trying to lowball somebody, we're remembering that the seller needs to see value in accepting your offer because they're taking a risk. You got to give them enough incentive. And for our clients, they don't focus just on the incentive of price. That's not where they battle it out. They're able to bring to the table so much more. And for us right now, about 72% of the time, we get our offer accepted on the first try. And so that is our before piece. I don't know if you want to add anything else in there before I kind of go into the others, but I don't want to talk too much here.
No, you're doing awesome. And so, I mean, that just seems like a great setup. And I love the fact that you said 72% of the offers are getting accepted. So you're setting them up with the proper expectations for you guys being the extra lever to help them get there.
Yeah, we've been really, really grateful seeing the effect we've had. And it comes from reputation. It comes from calling the listing agent. It comes from making sure that they know who we are, what we do, the strong responsibility we feel that if this was an offer placed on our property, would we actually be confident in it, right? And so those are all pieces that we speak with the listing agent on, and we share that with the client. You know, we get clients all the time going, wait, you're going to do this for me? You're going to call the listing agent for me? You're going to share how great they're blown away, right? And then we go into the during, and at the during we have a contract meeting, and day one of getting the offer accepted, we jump into, you know, what the process is going to look like, right? As a team lead, one of my major responsibilities is making sure families we serve are happy, but also making sure that the families that serve in our team are well balanced and happy too. And so wanting to make sure that the operations team has an easier process by me clarifying everything to the client up front is imperative to us, right? If extreme ownership is actually what we practice, then we as a team need to make sure that when a client goes into contract, we review all the numbers from tax rate. I have an HOI quote. We talk about interest rates. We talk about floating, locking. I follow Dan Rawich very, very closely. And we really just explain it all to the client. And they get all the details. They get super excited. We talk about removing loan contingencies. We talk about what happens if we do a rate renegotiation and so on and so forth. And then at the very end, I let them know that during this process, at the very end, we'll invite you to actually come into the office. So on average, I'll have 3 in-person meetings with the client. 2 of them might be virtual, but generally the last one is going to be in person. Them coming into one of our offices, them signing with us celebrating together, and us being able to really just enjoy the accomplishment they just completed in getting their new home.
All right, so 2 questions. So one is, give us some clarification on the in-office. So you guys have a mobile notary come in or a title company in the office? What does that part look like?
Yeah, we have a preferred notary that she's been very flexible with both the Riverside and the Orange County locations. There's some backups there too. And, sometimes you'll get escrow officers who just don't want to allow that. And so we'll just go by default with them, but we've just asked for their notary to come into our office so that we can sign together here. We'll put up there a picture of the home up on the big screen. We'll have some little gifts, some champagne. We'll celebrate with them. And yeah, we'll just enjoy it at the very end.
Any pushback from real estate agents on that versus going into the title company?
No. With our company, it's been phenomenal. I mean, our funding team is just really great with the way that, in California, it's kind of a rarity to fund and sign same day. We try not to do it often, but when it's needed, obviously it's there. And we usually don't have problems with that. If worst case scenario, what will happen is if they have to go sign at their office, it's okay, right? It's not like something that we're like, hey, you do this or not, because if the deal's not going to close, we'd rather not sacrifice it. But usually agents just love it. They love the fact that somebody is providing more gifts to them, that we're a good representation and extension of their team, that we're echoing the care and love that they have for their clients by being able to make sure they know what we promise is what we delivered. And we're going to be there to be able to show them at the very end exactly where the numbers were, what they were anticipated to be, and how they finished.
And how far do you think the average client's driving into your office? Because again, that's what I hear. The voice inside all of our heads is like, well, my clients don't want to drive that far. How far are your clients driving to see you?
I think the farthest one, so especially on a Saturday. I kind of play a hard rule that I'm only doing in-person meetings at my Irvine office just because it's closer to home. I live here in Orange County, and so it's one of those that I just can't compromise because I have a 5-year-old, I have a pregnant wife, I have a very happy family that I'm trying to keep happy at all times, and so I don't go far on Saturdays. Probably an hour and a half has been the max that I've had there.
What do you think the average is that people are driving just for the non-believers?
20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, because traffic here. So even if it's close in proximity, it's still a 20 to 30 minute drive, even from like 10 miles away.
Yeah, I get that. What about where do TCAs come into the equation here? Because, this is a mortgage coach call. I know that you're big on mortgage coach. I should mention you've done, at least when Dave interviewed before, you had done almost 1,200 TCAs. So for a guy in 3 years, that's a lot of TCAs, folks, right? That's a guy who practices what he preaches.
Yeah, I mean, they've been great. I seriously don't know why a TCA wouldn't be used. For me, it's kind of like basics. It's the elementary basics of just having a box of crayons if you're trying to grow and learning how to be an artist. It's like the first step. The TCA for me comes in throughout this whole process. Before, that's what we use to analyze the contract meeting. I have the TCA up again. Again, I put the HOI quotes. I put the tax rates confirmed. I do everything there. Closing cost estimates, all that. And then after, and this is one of the big things that I try to communicate to our clientele as well, that in becoming successful homeowners, half of that value that I give them is going to be before and during. The other half is what our team is dedicated to doing for them in the years to come. That means that the Art of Homeownership platform, specialized specifically in the way we bring it to our past client care, is, we do a post-closing call and we talk about next steps, supplemental property taxes, who you're paying, how you're paying them, what to expect from my team, the phone calls we're going to be making to you in the next 3, 6 months, 1 year, the annual financial reviews that we'll be setting up for you, the home concierge service with House Happy that goes out and puts everything on your house from your home on a virtual portal for you, so you can see room dimensions and you can see appliances with the serial numbers, and it'll monitor any appliances that have recalls, and it'll notify you of maintenance. And you have a Carfax for your home at the very end of it, and then you have HomeBot with the updates they'll be providing for you from an equity position of refinance options, sell, buy, pay more for your principal so you can save on interest, save on the year's close. But all three of those concepts, even the after, has the TCA involved. How? Because it's the numbers I used before to analyze, it's the numbers we use during the transaction to confirm, and it's numbers we use afterwards to monitor, right? The TCA comes into the financial review every single time. Sometimes I end up with 2 or 3 TCAs for that specific client. Right now in this next year, we're actually trying to put more of that Wally Ellerberry style of TCA at the very end by being able to prepare them now for a refinance, being able to show, okay, here's our next aim at a 25-year or a 20-year, and here's the equity position you're going to want to look at, so that when we do our follow-up phone calls, it's going to be an easier conversation than trying to explain what a refinance is to our first-time home buyers who they had the emotional drive on the house, so they didn't think too much on it, but now they don't have that pressure. Now they're just trying to analyze the heck out of everything, right? And so I want to prep those calls a little bit more through that means this next year.
Oh, I love that. That's what a great thing. So this slide, for the people who are wondering, this is the actual slide you're showing them right at that meeting, and you're walking them through this slide, correct?
Yeah. Everything I'm showing is exactly what I do to the client. So it's not necessarily even tailored for a referral partner, for, you know, other mortgage peers. This is what the client gets.
You're keeping it simple. Although you say you like to custom tailor it up front, it's not like you're going in here and adding their name and their photo and the realtor's information to this presentation, correct?
Yeah, you know, I've tried it. It just, you know, even this last year, now I'm very grateful to have more members on the team, but there was months this year where, you know, it was me in operations. And so the scalability was crucial. So I went from a presentation that had a lot more slides, and I think I've reduced it now to about 6. And I went from a presentation that, for me, I wasn't able to pivot well for different personality types because there was too much writing there. And so I went from there to, I'm just going to put the basics, and depending on the conversation, I'll add more, I won't speak more, right? If they're an investor, the offer acceptance plan is going to be a different description. If they're a first-time home buyer, the offer acceptance plan is going to be a different description. If they're a first-time home seller, which I love working with, the past client care is now going to be a different description. And so it allows me to really pivot by just keeping it simple. And when I say simple, what I'm thinking is scalable. If it's not scalable, I really don't want to do it. And I think that's really been one of the big keys to having such a growth, right? A 200% growth with not just adding a bunch of bodies to it was found by having really scalable systems, everything from lead management, updates to the agent partners, and client expectations.
Yeah, that's so critical. All right, so keep going on this presentation because it's just awesome.
So the next, now we go into, first we're going to talk about rates. Then we're going to be speaking about the options we created, and hopefully there will be at a foundation to make a really good choice. And usually in the conversation in the beginning, I'll share that our whole value is to be able to, you know, just pay it forward. Like last night, I was at a PPC with a client, pre-purchase consultation. And when I explained this after, he looked at me and goes, I said, do you have any more questions? And he just goes, so how much extra do all those after things cost? Right? And it's like, well, for us, we're referral centered. Instead of me spending all my marketing dollars to just be all over the place and on TV ads and all that, you'll never see me on the TV, most likely. My money goes into paying for resources that enable our clients to grow their wealth in an actual efficient and effective way, so that even from there, from a selfish perspective, I can get more referrals and earn your business later down the line. And just that transparency, I saw he just said, is amazing, right? And so then we went into this. We first go into rates, so I'll show a 10-year treasury note. So whether you use a 1003 magnet, whether you want to use Yahoo, whatever you want, I'll use a 10-year treasury. I'll explain kind of the trends. I want them to really understand mortgage rates so that if shopping is at all involved, they understand the principles of the margins, they understand the trends in the base that's going to be affecting margins and why things are priced out differently. You know, if we have shoppers who are comparing us with big banks, we talk about the big bank strengths, the broker strengths, the reason why we work as a direct lender and what we see our strengths be and the value we have. I mean, the biggest thing I've seen, speaking on that point, is if you educate them, you now have a platform to be able to actually have a conversation, right? It's not just a sales conversation every time trying to say why you're more valuable. It's you now have the foundation. So this last year, one of the clients that stood out the most, we did the consultation. We actually met for about an hour and a half on a Saturday afternoon. They brought in their 1-year-old and we prepared them. They then found a house, and at church, they were speaking with one of the other individuals there, and the guy owns a brokerage, and he just already in contract. We already were right about to do the contract meeting, and he just lowballed, right? Just cut the rate. He knew where I was at. He brought the price down. And so from there, I was able to just really look at the client and with full conviction of genuineness, be like, look, if you want to go that route, it's completely okay. And I wrote up a long email because she wanted an email correspondence. And I just laid out everything that we did that, in my opinion, showed we were more valuable, even though at the dollar amount at the contract meeting, they were cheaper then. Everything we did beforehand, the way we negotiated in assistance or helped the negotiations by being able to show their financial strengths, the conversation we had with the listing agent, we actually got the house for $5,000 cheaper than being offered, everything we were committed to do for them in the future and the financial planning, even with some of our advice, their mother and father, because we talk about a generational impact, their mother and father put their house into a trust because of spur of our conversation, right? They were already thinking of it, but when I broke down the necessities of it, they did it. And so I labeled out and itemized, in my opinion, why we're more valuable. And I just ended the conversation going, if you see what they're offering you, or if you see what I'm offering you not be worth this, over $3,000 delta, I think it was actually over $4,000 of a delta, our difference in costs because of what kind of the pricing was and different factors, go with them. Feel free to. I don't want to hold you, but if you see we're more valuable, then I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. At the end of the day, we closed that loan. We closed it in 17 days. We were able to give them a great process, and they were super happy by choosing us. So when you actually build that foundation for them to know, you can actually have conversations that are more than just, sales tactics.
That's huge. And so obviously the options section is your TCA, correct?
Yep. So when I click on this, it'll go to my mortgage coach, I sign in, I go through all of it. Would you like me to kind of go through a few mortgage coach scenarios?
Yeah, give us a great one or two that you really think are a good representation of your business.
Sweet. So let's go into, I brought two out. They're more recent. Let me go into this one. So in this one, one of the things that we try to do is, again, pay it forward, give data, not put any pressure. And I usually say that it's like, if you hear pressure at all, like if you hear salesy, please know that's not my intention. I never want to be salesy. When I do sell you, it's going to be selling you to the listing agent. But other than that, do know there's no pressure at all whatsoever.
And I love it. It reminds me of all the story brand stuff we've been talking about in the community, right? As you're walking them through this presentation, I'm seeing, hey, Sosi is the guy, right? You're their guy. You're taking them through. You're not making yourself the hero. So I love it that you even point out the fact that you're not trying to be salesy.
Yeah, I mean, it's empowerment, right? Let me give you what you want. Because when I look at this as a millennial, if I wasn't in this industry, which, just a short time ago I wasn't, I didn't know anything to do with loans. I didn't know DTI. I didn't know interest rate differences. I didn't know MI structures. I didn't know any of that. That's why the mortgage community for me has been so helpful, because just diving into all these different practices. I mean, I speak about seller buy down strategies. I talk about everything now. And so with that, my goal is to enable clients so they can feel empowered. So I try not to kind of go down this road, but it's just part of me, right? I used to be a pastor for about 5 years before this, managed 501c3 finances, all that stuff. So numbers have always been a passion. Education's been the passion, and spiritual principles for life have been a passion. And one of the principles is, if you know the truth will set you free. The same concept for me drives me in this. It's, if I give people data and information, they will feel free to make whatever decision they want to make. And the cool part is, usually the decision they want to make is work with us. So it's a win-win.
That always helps. That always helps. All right. So what are we looking at here?
So here we're looking at a scenario where a client is in a current FICO score place, and there's going to be value in them making a credit plan to bring up their score and being in a new situation. So with where they currently were at, under 700, the way that the loan's structured, their monthly payment would have been about 2908 with MI, everything included. And so we were looking at, the client first came in to kind of give more of the story. They wanted to identify, okay, look, I want to buy, I'm looking at different scenarios. They actually work for a different mortgage company on the operational side, and they wanted data. And so they came to us. And so when they came, we're able to show the data to answer their question, right? The question was, should I buy in Orange County as a condo, or should I buy in Riverside as an SFR? And should I buy now, or should I wait a little bit? And so one of the things I always tell them is my job is not to give you an answer. My job is to give you the information so you can make your own confident decision from there. So let's just look at the numbers. If we bought right now, let's say you found the unicorn house and you felt it's worth the sacrifice of even more expensive monthly payments, so on and so forth, that's totally good. But just so you know, the numbers would leave you at about $500 more a month than you wanted to be at. So that's option one. From there, let's kind of answer your question in regards to a condo or a single family residential unit. And so from there, you'll see here, the condo, $350, the monthly payment is $28.22. When if they would buy an SFR in a different county just down the road, they can be at a lower monthly payment. And then from there, at the lower monthly payment, which one of these scenarios is going to be the best monthly payment for what their $2,500 monthly goal was, right? And I give them the pros and cons of the mortgage insurance options. And in these two different situations here, you'd see that the mortgage insurance here is 0 and here is 88. And then the closing costs, we have a single premium finance option compared to a monthly mortgage insurance option. So they can decide from there. I let them know that, you know, if you do refinance in this amount of time, here's how much money you lose. If you don't, this is how much. This option would be better if your goal was X, Y, Z. This option would be better if your goal was Z, Y, A, right? And we go through all those factors, and aside from explaining what makes up a monthly payment, aside from explaining what makes up closing costs, we just talk about the whole goals being accomplished overall so that they can actually walk away with answers to their questions. So this client concluded, after we even saw the principal paid versus rent, after we saw the net worth growth that him and his family were going to have in the next 15 years, walked away with the strategy that with our company here, we have a credit department that is fully committed to reviewing scores for us and creating a really neat PDF showing exact steps on how to bring your score from where it is to where you want it to be, and what timeline and with what steps, not paying us. It's a complimentary service we provide for our clients, but paying their debts down to whatever amounts need to be, right? It's pretty much credit simulators, but a department who's all they're doing is credit simulations. And so with that, I showed him the plan. I showed him what could be done. I showed him how long it would take. And we walked away last night going, yeah, let's wait. It's going to be worth it. If we find the unicorn, okay, we'll buy it. If not, we're going to wait, make a really good plan, and be in a better financial situation in the long run, because it's going to take less than 90 days.
I'm laughing because for you, 676 FICO is credit repair. And in our market here in Phoenix, where my team operates, that's about, 550 is credit repair. Like that's different average borrower.
Yeah, no, most of ours would be above 650. And usually I'll explain to them when the reason for this one too was FHA, right? And I shared with them the costs overall, the upfront mortgage insurance, the monthly mortgage insurance, how if we do find this and it's a unicorn, it's going to be a 1-2-step process. We're going to want to refinance you out of that once your credit score does come up. And if it's a 676 and what their best loan was an FHA, we'd do that all day. But in this situation, it was one of those where he didn't have a time pressure. He had the ability, he had the funds, and it seemed to make a lot of sense for him. And so it worked.
Awesome. All right. So let's see the other TCA that you got pulled up here.
So this one is clients who are shopping compared to us and I think it was Navy Federal. I don't know if there's any liability for me saying like other banks' names. If I am, feel free to bleep me or whatever. So with it, what'd you say?
I think we're good. Someone who's better priced than you. Better
pricing. So when we look through all of it, their question again was, should I buy a condo? Should I buy an SFR? And this client got handed off once they already saw homes. They were from an online resource. They already saw a home. They wanted to place an offer on the home, and they were just excited to come in. And so the agent sent them over so we can get pre-approved for that specific condo. The agent and I have a really good relationship. She loves how, even in our process of how explaining what we do and how we do it, a big part of that is also explaining the team we operate with, our preferred agents, and how the agent is a necessity to be able to get their offer accepted, to be able to help keep their eyes open to potential liabilities throughout the transaction and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, one of the takeaways that I've learned is being able to remind people that you'll probably find your own house. Some agents squeal at that, but the agents that I love working with, they look at that and go, yeah, you probably will. But you can't negotiate in the best ways. You don't have the skill set to really understand what you need to be looking out for from an experiential standpoint. And we really help the agents communicate a value from another perspective, which they love. So this agent partner, great partner of ours, sent it over. She knew that, you know, we're going to look at all numbers, and it might be a scenario where they don't want to buy the house anymore. And as we walked through the scenario, we looked at the condo that they were looking at, and we started talking through it. And, you know, to go back to the story brand point, a lot of times I'll just tell the client, hey, I want you to quarterback this, right? I want to give this the opportunity with this personalized website for me to run some numbers, but you quarterback the options that you want to look at as you've been curious and exploring online. And so from there, we went into, okay, let's say we're going to buy a house instead of a condo, right? We're now going to be looking at a 5% down option up to a $650 purchase price. They had the funds, so we can play with it a little bit more. They saw the monthly payment. They were okay with that monthly payment. We then went into, okay, if we do get gift from family, how much would that actually impact us? And so then we went into a 10% single premium finance option. And then from there, we talked about, okay, one of the condos we've really liked has been a 550, 400 HOA. That's kind of the range. What would that look like, right? And we just laid it all out so that the data can speak for itself. So if they do want to get a gift, they can do it. And I found clients that, you know, a mistake earlier on was they say gift, we don't take it serious, and we move forward. And then all of a sudden, you know, the conversation of gift comes up, and right in the middle of something, I'm being asked, hey, can you give me some numbers for if I got this amount? How much of a gift do I need? My dad, I told him I was going to buy, and now he wants to know if he can, what a gift would do and how much I need. Hey, can you help me? Right? And so I feel internally, I'm not saying there's right or wrong, but for me internally, when a client asks me for something, 9 out of 10 times I'm mad at myself because I didn't foresee it. Right? I'm looking at it going, what the heck? Like, why didn't I foresee this? Why didn't I like prepare them for this? You know, now my day that's planned out, I'm a very regimented individual. I really like processes. When I see that, I'm like, now I got a chink in my day and I got to do this and that. So I look at it and go, okay, I'm just going to prepare. If I hear anything that I can potentially foresee, great, let's just go with it. Oh, potential gift. Here's a number so that if you have the conversation, because when you start talking about a home purchase, it's like you get in a new car, all of a sudden that same car you just got is all over the road. Same thing with a home purchase. You're going to start getting advice on the recession coming. You're going to start getting advice on rates, and you're going to start getting advice on this, that, and the other, or potential gifts. So let's use this as a plumb line just in case. And a lot of times that just in case comes to pass, right? And so we went through that. We also went through the condo, and then we broke it down even further and took it to the next financial route. Okay. If you do go with this, right, this is where we have an offer out right now. If you do decide to move forward with this, here's some financial strategies that you might want to keep in mind with it. Number one, can you pay extra on your mortgage? Absolutely. That's called a reduction payment. If we paid an extra $200 on our mortgage, look how fast you pay off your loan. Then number two, if we actually wanted to start building more liquid reserves for us, and we don't want to just look at a net worth of the home appreciation, with the average in the last 80 years being 3.69%, even with the second worst economical crisis in the history of the US. Let's look at you earmarking $1,000 to start off in an investment account. And from there, you add $200 because they were saying they could budget probably about $400 extra a month. And I showed them, hey, in 10 years, here's your liquid reserves, $34,000 with a 6% average increase on just your investments. Not guaranteeing that, but that's one that I've been given from financial advisors that can be a potentially safe number over time. How does this look like a good financial future plan? And the wife there, she was just like, why did I not learn this stuff earlier? She was just like, why did we not come talk to you earlier? That sounds amazing, right? These guys are young in their careers, are very successful, and they just didn't get exposed to actual strategies aside from snippets that we get on Instagram or YouTube, right? So it was, for me, huge win. Great conversation, ended off really well, moving forward with the pre-approval. They're now looking at higher purchases, and this condo didn't seem like it worked out, and the agent's still happy because now they have a wider range and confidence that they didn't have before.
So that is huge. So 6 slides in the presentation, plus you're showing them a TCA. How much time are you spending on this portion? Because that was, you gave us sort of the super fast version of it. I'm assuming you're slowing it down and spreading it out for folks who aren't quite as financially astute as our mortgage coach audience here.
Yeah, maybe a little bit longer on the explanation. I really don't spend a ton of time unless they have questions. And it's all about reading the person, right? If they're a D and they're just like, okay, give me the numbers, right? It's like, okay, cool. Let me just show you the 3 necessities. Let's talk about them a little bit. Let me ask questions and make you come out of your shell a little bit more to show yourself that you have more of a need than you initially assumed. And now let's go into the numbers, right? And we go into the rate conversation. We probably spend a little bit more on that rate conversation because I start showing them trends. I start showing them how to manage it, how the savings can come from an actual financial team who's committed to their financial impact in the future by monitoring and alerting and showing them what trends can potentially do so they can anticipate. A lot of my clientele, especially in the Latin world, the fear is don't ever refinance, just pay off your loan as much as possible, right? And so even trying to break down that barrier with actual data is huge. Being able to show the tens of thousands of savings that can come from just the right timing of a refinance, and being able to speak to how, in my experience, I haven't spoken to a loan officer who actually knows somebody who's kept a loan for 30 years, right? Like, I don't know of anyone who knows someone who's had that.
It's so rare, I have to imagine, these days, because again, most people don't live in their house that long. So that's a great part of the educational process.
Yeah, and we talk about, my mother and father-in-law, how they've lived in their house over 30 years, but they haven't had the same loan, right? Because if you have a truly financial team who's dedicated to research and leveraging and who knows your scenario, they're going to help you save in the long run way more in comparison to anyone else. And I'll usually be my conversation to someone, hey, if I can't save you more money than the other guy in the long run, please go with him. If you don't believe I can, I do not blame you on taking the other route.
Love it. Love it. All right. So let's, why don't you wrap us through the last few slides there, and then we got some questions. So I'll get to the questions we're getting around your leads and lead follow-up as we get to the end.
Last few slides. Let's see if this thing is working right now. So it's main steps, right? It's all about setting expectations. Let's empower your pre-approval. Let's talk about the necessity of being able to really verify the pre-approval. We ask for a commitment as well, letting them know that our team and the families that work for us are going to be committed to them and their family. We encourage them to shop, place offers with confidence. The numbers are not going to be exact until the day we get into escrow, and we encourage them to not send earnest money deposits until they really feel comfortable with the numbers, HOIs, taxes, so on and so forth. That's the contract meeting we talked about. We'll review the EMD. How much amount is going out there? What does that now mean for the contingencies? What are our timelines? What are we expecting? When is their first close date? And keep in mind, at our contract meeting, they come in like they just saw a ghost, right? They're just like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? And being able to just celebrate with them, we have little gifts for them, we review numbers with them, and then the big kicker is at the very end, we even show them on the timeline we create, here's your first month's mortgage. Every time they're like, oh, that's right, I don't have a mortgage payment for a month and a half, right? And they're just stoked. And we talk about signing loan docs. Again, it's all expectation. If we're in a crunch, know that the notary will come to you. But we really invite you to come into our office. We'd love to just celebrate with you. This is such a huge accomplishment. We want to be able to see those, show you what we promised, what we delivered, so that from there, you can enjoy your home. We'll set up the post-closing call, blah, 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 all that great stuff. And then at the very end, how do you feel? Less stressed, excited? What's the best way of communication moving forward? Should I do text messages, emails, phone calls? Any other questions, concerns? Is there anything else I could do to earn your business? Right? Putting it on them. That's how we end the conversation. And usually like, no, I've had others be like, no, I still just want to see the other just for a comparison, because as millennials, we're now, by just the very nature of who we are, having to verify, which I encourage them to do, because a diamond looks way greater with a black backdrop. And it's okay, right? It's working from strength. And at the very end, it's a quick thank you, shake hands, walk them out, punch their card if they need the ticket validation, and we're done. Usually it takes, if it's a fast one where the client is just receiving the whole time, I can do it as fast as 30 minutes, with about 15 of that minutes being focused on the TCA. And if it's a long one, one last night, they had a lot of questions, gosh. That one maybe an hour and 45, but generally the average is 45 minutes to an hour.
And you said you got a pretty regimented day, so do you usually schedule these at a certain time, that you have open on your calendar, or how flexible are you for your clients outside of that Saturday flexibility?
Yeah, there's this one guy who created this thing called Win by Noon. Great concepts. I try to really stick to it.
I heard it.
What'd you say?
I said I've heard of him.
Yeah, pretty good guy. I really try to follow that concept as much as I can. If it's quote unquote an emergency, which doesn't really mean anybody's dying, but just schedules don't work out, yes, I'll be flexible to it. But mainly it's afternoon and evening. I try not to schedule anything past 7 o'clock. I have a lot of blue collar workers. And so sometimes it is a late night, not because of the ability of not wanting to, but they can barely afford their scenario currently. They're trying to save as much as possible. They don't want to take time off work, and I don't want them to. And so you
got a pregnant wife and a 5-year-old, so we got to get you home. Hey, do me a favor, hit the unshare of your screen so you go back on full video, and then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that we've gotten here as we kind of wrap up. A couple people are asking about your leads and your lead follow-up. What percent of where's your business coming from? Where are those leads coming from? And then what are you using to follow up?
So when we're talking about leads, there's always going to be a big mixture of that. There's the online leads that come in, whether, you're investing in one of the lead aggregators or whether they're just realtor leads that they're sharing with you. I actually have not partnered with any agent on Zillow. I work with some of the biggest, or in the counties I'm in, some of the biggest agent partners there. There's other ways that we strategize and bring value. But with even those that we're not quote unquote partnered on, we still get a lot of their leads. Why? Because we've created a process, to answer your question, that I've shown them that goes, okay, within 30 days, here's our 17-point contact commitment within 30 days. And then from there, here's the next campaign it goes into. And then from there, here's the next one, right? My first mentor who really showed me scalability, he showed me that principle, the lead follow-up. I know Katie Diosto is an amazing addition here to the mortgage coach community. A conversation we had often when I first came into the industry was the lost lead conversation, where how many leads are you getting in your funnel? How are you staying to them? So everything I've created has been trying to find systems that help me glue the holes in the funnel. And so one of my CRMs I'm using is Big Purple Dot, and I've created probably over 40 campaigns on that thing. Right? I mean, I can average leads 20 to 30 a week sometimes. And again, these are a lot of online leads, not true handoffs. But those that come in, they come in and they go straight into the funnel. And there's a series of different campaigns that are created from them. From the thing I've liked about Purple Dot, there's no perfect CRM. I'm waiting until the day I got to create one in my mind. But it's had really good auto text features, which I haven't seen another CRM have. And it does auto voicemail. And so I'm able to structurize it where it's scalable for contacts to be made without me actually having to do it. Obviously, there's live phone calls too, but with a lead that's just not answering you, sometimes those strategies work best, right? I've had calls where all of a sudden I'm getting an inbound call, I answer it, and they're like, "Yeah, you just called me. I'm sorry for missing your call." I'm having to look in the CRM, make sure I see the notes, right? Like,
figure out who it is, right? That's the beauty of having a system that does it for you. There's a smart guy that's actually listening in from an airplane. His name is Dave Savage, and he wants to know, what is your value proposition with realtors and any scripting of how you position yourself with agents?
Yeah, the biggest thing I do is being able to let them know that we have a business, right? We have a business partnership that we want to be able to provide for them. We want to be able to have an experience for the client that creates a raving fan, that creates referrals. We talk about our after process and how we're going to try to create referrals from their financial future, right? We're going to be in touch with them to know when they're planning on moving next, when their family members are planning to moving next, when they need to downsize, what the generational wealth planning is. But most of all, like when we look at what actually creates the business partnership, that stuff is like cherry on top, right? Like that's where it just creates the conversation. What I've seen be the biggest thing is just going, I have a business that can be pretty much bolted onto yours. And when you put in X, you will get Z. Z might come in the form of an update going, here's a credit plan and budget plan we've set up for them so they can be a buyer in 2 years. Here's a person who's just not answered, but we've tried 17 times in 30 days. Or here's a pre-approved buyer who, and I do a bomb video on the TCA after they're pre-approved, showing them the range, condo max purchase prices depending on HOAs, because for our clientele, they max out their DTI, so have to be very specific. We have different tax rates in different counties, so have to be very specific. Here's a tax rate on this. Here's your max purchase price, right? I let clients know no one qualifies for a purchase price, they qualify for a monthly payment, and we just educate them. And so with the clients, their agent partners, they just know that when they get us, they get a machine that creates successful homeowners for them. And if they want a business partnership like that, they work with us. If not, they send us leads here and there because we've impressed them so much that they still know it's a good thing.
No, I love that. I love that. So obviously 49.2 million, 106 clients in 2019. What's the goal for 2020?
I haven't really put a hard figure on it yet because I'm really focused on 2021. My goal is to be at 100 million in 2021. And so I'll probably end 60, 80 in 2020. But 100 million in 2021 is my goal.
I love it. I love the long range thinking, that you've got. And so kind of as we wrap up here, I think that you've added just a ton of value. I think you've got people who are super impressed. I'm reading the comments in Facebook. Talk to the folks who are scared to have that conversation that you just talked about with the real estate agents. Talk to the folks who are scared to have their clients commit to coming in to meet with you, coming in to sign in your office. Talk about that extreme ownership piece and how you would encourage them to maybe take this on as their campaign for 2020.
Yeah, I would say know that it's not going to be a perfect fit for everyone, right? It's how I found a good fit for me. If you don't find it good for your business, don't do it. But the principles I can give are applicable no matter what, right? Scalable, you create what you get, and then to grow it, you scale it. That's the biggest thing I can give. So if you are going to be leading your partners, make sure that you have a game plan of what your business actually looks like. You can't sell your business partnership to someone if you don't know your business. You can't sell your process to a client if you don't have one, right? If everything is fly by the seat of your pants, it's going to just get you there, flying by the seat of your pants, probably to the same ceiling you've hit for the last 4 years. And I say that not from a prideful perspective, but from coaches who have mentored me going, most people will get to their ceiling within 3 years and just rinse and repeat. They just never get past it. And so
the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and expecting a different result. And that's, one of the things I find around Win by Noon. And so I, appreciated obviously your kind words on that earlier is the fact that, I do feel that people need that change of perspective, a little bit of accountability. So I'll throw a quick plug for those of you who aren't in the Win by Noon user mastermind group here on Facebook. Just look up Win by Noon user mastermind group. I've allowed in all the mortgage coach community who aren't users to be part of it. And we're doing a free 4-week challenge. We kicked off yesterday. It's not too late to jump in to really give an extra layer of accountability for all of you who are looking for a little extra structure, kind of what Sosi talked about, to help figure out what are the activities so that we can get you unstuck going next year. And I'm committed. I'm going to run those free challenges each month this year. So if for some reason you're like, oh, I missed a day, I can't jump in, I still would challenge you to jump in, but we'll be starting one again as we hit next month.
Two things I would throw in there too for you, dovetailing off of you, Todd. Number one of the things I did want to share too is that, our client handoff is huge. The agent piece, when they know that it's a business, they also start seeing the process in which how to put it into the funnel. And most of our handoffs that are actually effective, meaning that over 70% of the time we actually make contact, is when they go on our calendar link called callsosi.com. They select a time, they fill it out for the client, and now the client knows when to expect to hear from us. And then they also know when to know that the agent that we're going to reach out. I let them know that one of our team members is going to do the discovery call because every single member on my team now is trained on that. And then from there, the second meeting, the PPC will be with me. That's a huge one. To your Win by Noon thing, one of the things that I found for about 3/4 of the year last year, it was Win by Noon, let me come in and just try to get everything done. And I realized this last quarter, especially with more coaching from just even Ryan and more one-on-ones, winning by noon starts by your early morning. And I don't know if you've touched on that, but now my regimen is pretty much up at 4:45, and I'm doing everything I have to do so that by the time I come to the office, I try to do nothing but win. And so that's been huge.
Yeah, I love that. My most popular, I did two great webinars next year, which we're going to be scheduling for later this month. One was around morning routine, and one was around creating client engagement with HomeBot and our using our HomeBot discount code that we've come up with the folks over there, which, in case you're wondering, it's WBN Lender. But no, I really appreciate you saying that. So have you added anything different in your morning regimen, or you're just really specific with the points that you've already been doing?
In the morning regimen, number one, it's a lot added, because now that I have a lot more time, I'm actually able to dedicate more time to reading, more time to exercise. I really was waking up and just working right away, but now I'm not spending an hour of work from 6 to 7 until I've spent that first time, walking the dog, enjoying some nature, reading, getting spiritually focused and mentally focused again for clarity, doing some physical activity to wake up, drinking a glass of water, having my coffee. And now I'm at 6 a.m. on the computer at my home office, working until 7, enjoying the family, helping the family get ready, and then trying to be in here by 8:30 at the latest.
See, I love that. And so all the people that I've interviewed around morning routines, I hear a lot of what you're saying, Sosi, right? Something educational, something spiritual, some type of exercise, and then engaging with the family, being more present, having that opportunity. So here we are. It is time, sadly, to wrap up this call. So first off, I want to, on behalf of Dave and Mortgage Coach, want to thank you, Sosi, for being here. You just crushed it today. I think that was a huge value to our community. And certainly myself on behalf of Win by Noon, thanks for all your kind words. And let's watch this video. Let's share this video, guys. Sosi crushed it. We'll make sure that we put all the links to the things that we discussed down below, TCAs, his presentation, his previous video. And that is a wrap. We'll see you all here next week on Friday for another great Mortgage Coach call, guys. I'm out of here.
Thanks, guys.